Mute everyone.
And if everybody could do a favor and mute, that would be great. And
take it away.
Okay. I believe in music of the spheres, the teachings of Pythagoras, Feng Shui, 9-star key, and probability. Okay, I'll take a chance. In the 1960s, I went to London to be an architectural intern. That's what you're supposed to do. One gets a degree in architecture, interns for 3 years, passes the grueling 3-day architecture exam, then what? I was discouraged from getting a job in New York. Women need not apply. So I went to London, and as predicted, I easily got work as an architectural designer. In the 1960s, the British didn't really teach design in their architectural schools. Their focus was on engineering. Though my work was rewarding, I wasn't rewarded salary-wise. Salaries were so low that I had to sustain on pub food, beer, pickled eggs, pickled onions. What's this with pickling? To preserve food that's about to go bad, or so you won't notice it's really already turned? And chips, the best. Maybe I was flushed one evening, I'd order a cheese sandwich. That's a local cheddar with a side of the best mustard. Did everything taste the best when you're so hungry? The saving grace was a government subsidized lunch voucher. Many offices offered these to their employees, a bonus. Were they concerned that we might collapse, possibly die at our desks or drafting tables of malnutrition? I don't think the British knew about cash bonuses. Food vouchers would have to do. They were honored in most casual eating establishments for a substantial lunch, which might consist of a vegetable appetizer, canned veggies with mayonnaise. Veggies out of the ground didn't exist back then. Followed by steak and kidney pie, and then the pièce de résistance, a steamed pudding with hard sauce. Ginger was my favorite, though you never knew what the pudding of the day might be. And we ate the menu of the day. On a brighter note, I did see the best theater, Olivier and his elk at the Strand, as I had a weekend job repairing old 1800s costumes, beads and lace. This paid more than my architecture work. Unfortunately, none of the above provided me with enough hard cash to thoroughly enjoy my London stay. And can anyone really enjoy being in London in the 60s when the British bore a stiff upper lip rather than keep warm? Central heating was a no-no. I wore many layers of wool under my coat, everywhere, in theaters, in bed, etc. I just soon discovered one heated destination, the Lions tea houses, where you could spend unlimited time over a cup of and refills. I never understood why more people didn't hang out at this establishment. Sometimes I was the only one. Maybe this desire for bodily comfort was considered a weakness of character. Were we all supposed to project a stiff upper lip? However, having also studied statistics with an emphasis on probability, I began to spend many evenings supplementing my meager salary at the roulette tables at the clubs in central London. Probability. That was the name of the game. And I was so good that after a few weeks, I was barred from these establishments. They suspected I was cheating, but couldn't prove it. Before my architectural escapades in London, including making more money at the casinos than the drafting table, I had a passion for high school science fairs. Once I got an award for my proving of Brownian movement, i.e., the location of over a period of time of an infinitesimal speck on the surface of water is predictable, as in roulette, as in life. And aren't we all little specks floating around in the vast, predetermined, ever-expanding universe? Does this sound scary? Not if you believe in esoteric cures and are an R.D. Bell. Let's ask the I Ching. Happy birthday, R.D., and we'll do it again next year. With love, Judy. Now I'm going to continue. Now I continue. This was at Heather's request. She's shaking her head. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Just before Christmas, 1968, A glassblower friend came from Murano to visit me at in my freezing northeast London house. Would you like to spend the Christmas with me in Coventry? Before we left, he stayed with me for a few freezing days in London. We got up each morning at 5, warmed up over coffee, and headed for one of the London's renowned flea markets. Before going to Coventry, we must visit my friend Sam Herman. He's teaching at the London School of Art and recently built a foundry. When we arrived, Sam was happy to see us. He showed us his new foundry and we made Christmas ornaments for our upcoming Christmas in Coventry. Several years later, I was back in London for a few days with my filmmaker partner. A British would-be Freddie Laker wanted to hire him to sponsor a film festival in New York City. He offered to fly us to London and back on one of his planes. That was scary. Before we left London, I called Sam. He said, meet me at the Victoria and Albert Museum. I'm just dismantling my one-man glass show. We met at the museum and I mentioned that I was about to open a design gallery later that year. He offered me his entire show at a price I could afford. Before I had a chance to think, Sam was wrapping his glass vases in newspaper and carefully placing them in laundry bags. Within minutes to spare, he hailed a cab for us, my movie friend and me, and the 3 laundry bags filled with art glass, off to the airport. A month later, my gallery opened in NoHo with a show of my friend from Murano and Sam's glass. It was listed and reviewed in the Times. Crowds came, the band played, I served beautiful food and wines were poured. It was a festive opening, but I sold nothing. I was not a salesperson. Now to the present. Last week, I went to Cape Cod to sell my collection of antique glass. Several weeks earlier, I contacted an antique dealer who said she might be interested. Why had I contacted only one dealer? Then my trip was postponed because of a hurricane, so I called one more dealer. I was not going for the big bucks. It was time for others to enjoy and profit from my collection. My Honda Fit was well packed. From the driver's seat, I could barely see over the top of 16 boxes, all with pictures of the contents taped to their tops. However, on my return trip, I saw leaves turning vivid reds and yellows from all my car windows. I had sold all 16 boxes of carefully wrapped glass. How had I acquired all this glass? You can probably deduce this from my Sam Herman story. A week later, now back at home, I noticed yet another shelf over my bookcases. These were Sam's beautiful glasses that I failed to sell 50 years ago. How did I overlook this? Sam had lived and worked in London, Europe, and Australia, where his glass was quite collectible, but he was rather obscure and an uncollectible artist in the States. I had more work to do. Was I now ready to sell Sam's glass? I was on a roll. I opened my computer and searched glass galleries. Years ago, I had been told that Sam had many collectors in Germany where I might get the best value for this glass, but I didn't speak German or know any suitable galleries there. I then looked at London. It was dotted with craft galleries. One stood out. It wasn't a fancy district, but it was a few blocks from where I first stayed when I arrived in 1968. I sent an email and received an immediate response. This was the first and only gallery I contacted that night. The gallery owner introduced himself as Sam's nephew, Rollo. And yes, he was interested. Serendipity, again. Rollo and I have been emailing back and forth over the past week. I sent him a photo of Sam's glass that he had authenticated many years ago. I sent this photo along with the New York Times review of my gallery show featuring his glass. Rollo wanted more information. I sent pictures of the front and back of each piece with dimensions. Glass memories are transporting me to 1960s London, Cape Cod of the 50s, into the present from the top shelf of my bookcase in my East Hampton home. I now wait to hear again from Rollo, the owner of the one and only gas gallery I contacted that night after returning from Cape Cod. That's it. Fini.
That was wonderful, Judy. I just
Thank you.
love listening to your many lives and your architectural, exploits and earning money at the casino. I think that's so great.
I have one more thing to add, RG, and that's how I went to architecture school. Going to college, I just was interested in science fairs. That's it. I didn't care about anything else. And however, I was in a sorority in high school. And one of my sorority sisters said, oh, you should apply to Rhode Island School of Design because it's easy. You don't have to send in an essay and they let you know in 2 weeks whether you're in or out. Okay, so I applied. It was simple application. Then a week later, I get a call from the president of the school. He wants to see me. So I go down there with my mother. And he says, I was really impressed with your portfolio. And he opens a drawer, takes out this portfolio. It wasn't me. It was another Judy Freeman.
Oh my
I said, I never did any drawings. So they had something where if you didn't submit your portfolio, they had a one day you drew a chair. It was like
Like a studio project?
a wooden chair. And you go in, you had a 5-minute drawing, another 5, then a 10-minute, and then at the end you had the whole afternoon to draw this chair. Well, anyway, I drew the chair all day and I got into architecture school. And that's the whole story. So I know how to draw a chair.
I just love it. I just love your spontaneity. I don't know, talk about, you just like literally go with the flow wherever it takes you. And life has, given you all these incredible opportunities and connections. And I love, what you believe, the spontaneity and Pythagoras and all of these things. I just love it.
Yeah, it could all be part of the same thing. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I was very lucky to find you, RD. I think I was in your first class at the, what was it? Where was
The
that?
New York Open Center?
The Open Center. I was in your first class. And you emphasized that. This is my first class. And it was wonderful.
All these years is so wonderful.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or comments? Miss Lois, you have to unmute.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Well, Judy, that was just delightful. You have the knack for being in the right place at the right time. I think it's your openness and your spontaneity that just like it seems like the universe is always saying, okay, what do you want, Judy? Just open your arms. Here, you got it. What's next? Okay, here you go. It's like amazing. And I just love taking the journey with you, from the 60s, up until now, and how everything goes back and is connected. I mean, how awesome what are the chances that one gallery you wrote to in London, it was his son?
I know. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it myself.
So meant to be. I love the
Because
way
it was in your gallery. It wasn't in any fancy place or anything, just some gallery that I knew the neighborhood.
Right. So it just goes to show, just be open and just go with, it seems like you just go with where where you're going. And that's really a beautiful gift. So I really love how you shared your story. And I just want to hear more. Like, tell me more.
Okay, I'm going to tell you one more thing. And that is how I came to my house here in East Hampton. As an architect, I designed an apartment for this guy in the city. And his mother had 2 lots here in East Hampton. And she asked me if I wanted the lots in lieu of a payment for the work I did. And I said, sure. So I didn't even look at the lots, nothing. I just took them and here I am. But I did consult with, I consulted with, a 9-star key person. And he went over my chart and he said, oh, this is a good location. So I did do that consulting.
Beautiful. Thank you, Judy. Just delightful. I just love it. And, it's just so you. So thanks for sharing yourself with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I love it. And I love you.
Love you.
Leticia,
Oh, sorry, Tammy. Do you want to go? Okay. Judy, I loved that. And I agree with Lois. You have this lightness about you, which is so interesting. And you've lived so many incredible things. I could listen to you all day. You should write these down, or even better, you should record them so that people can listen to them, because it's one thing to read them, but it's another thing to hear your voice and your enthusiasm and your inflections and all that. What a fascinating life. Good Lord. No limits. It's wow. I like that. I'm a bit old for that, but I'll still keep it in mind.
You're not too old. No, you're not old.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for this lesson in openness and in absolute faith that everything is perfect. Magic and miracles.
Magic and miracles. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Tammy.
Well, Judy, yeah, I have to say, I'm sure it wasn't, to me, it's like I'm reading Hemingway or something, or I'm listening to this romantic, even though it probably was hard what you were doing, but it just sounds like this Hemingway novel that I'm going through, and all these places, and, you know, the hardships, but the fun, and yes, like RD said, just going with the flow. I mean, I admire that so much, you know, when, you know, we could be so uptight and so worried about things. And I don't know, I like Leticia said, and you know, Lois, I could just sit with you and just listen to your stories. I just think they're fantastic, and it's very inspiring for me just to, you know, and your laugh, you know, it's just like everything is so infectious. So thank you so much. I just really, like Lois said, it was delightful, and you're delightful. Love you.
Thank you. Love you.
Sue, you have to unmute.
Well, naturally, I agree with what my family has said before me, but I will go a step further and say, having you here today speaking has reminded me what I've been missing in our group for a while. So I'm so happy to see you and to hear your voice. And somehow I'm not surprised that you've had this life, and I'm sure it's much bigger than anything that you just told us, but it doesn't surprise me. You have this ethereal quality about you, and I just, you know, I know the time very well when you were coming up, and you know, there was so much in front of you to choose from, but more than that, as a woman in that time and space, you went after what you wanted. And that makes me feel very proud as a woman.
Thank
So,
you.
and the last thing I'll say is your lack of fear of reinvention.
Mm.
That is something that we should all embrace. Every time it comes tapping on your shoulder or knocking at your door, and there's an opportunity to reinvent yourself towards something that you love or something that you're curious about, and you have an opening, you know, you set the example, Judy.
Thank you.
I would say also, I didn't mean to jump in. I'm kind of foggy here, but I agree with everyone and Judy, and it's just delightful. could listen all day, and I'll take what Sue said one step further, add one. Talk about gambling with the chips. No, but you just also perspective occurred to me, because those events, someone might have experienced them differently and not had, they might have been thrown by the fact that it wasn't their portfolio. Imagine that age where we're so like kind of tender and everything matters so much, and it must have been a big deal. So it's just a wonderful thing to hear that, and as everyone has said, like, we just go with you. And I think I remember we were taking a boat over to Anton's, and you were talking about writing. You might join this writing group, but what would you write about? You weren't sure. Oh my goodness. Honey, I got you on Oprah. I want to get you because to what Sue said also was just you really inspire people, like the young women of today, or people that might be timid. I could see that you would be that person because of your nature. It's so inviting, and I'm curious if there's any like podcast contests or something for monologuists or something. But I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. As you were reading, I was thinking of a title for your writing. I love your writing. And I echo what's been said before, but somewhere in your title, there has to be the word yes, because that's what I kept hearing in all of your different adventures was a yes, yes, yes. And I agree with Mary Beth that it's not only inspiration for our younger people, but inspiration for me. And I'm 54 and older, I think. And I would really love to read more of your writing. So I hope you continue this endeavor, because you are multifaceted, talented, and an inspiration. And I love you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Judy. It was so amusing to listen to you, to your authentic stories. I love your spontaneous way of life. In between, I thought of a butterfly flying from blossom to blossom. But at the end, when you told the life circle of the glasses, this story became bigger and bigger. I love this, and that you find the nephew of the producer of the first man who did the glasses. Bravo, bravo! Thank you for this story, and give me more. And I love you.
Love you. Thank you.
Judy, I'm next. I know it's like echo of everyone. Thank you. I know I just feel like I was just on this beautiful, dream journey with you. But yeah, I agree. We can reimagine or reinvent ourselves at any age. Whether we're 12 or we're 65 or 80, it's possible. You just have to be open to it. But I do feel like also, as Sue sort of mentioned, as a woman and seeing your journey from that, just the art school situation to, present time, you definitely, you're so open, your spirit is so free that, you didn't have, sure, there's fears, but you didn't let anything stop you from like trying, right? As, it's sort of echoing what other people have said. We all have stories, and some people's stories are, much more like what you're saying. Some people's stories, they stop themselves short potentially from maybe other things that can happen, because we're all, some people have the fear of trying something that's just kind of crazy, right? But it's always inspiring to hear when people just like go for it without hesitation. And I love the details in your story, just, about the meals in London and the heat, because it's very trying, not just for you, but, people in society then, And sadly now, as Johan was just sharing, like what's happening, which is a whole other event. But, at that time, it's like, I just think of Down and Out in London and Paris. I don't know. I mean, it's not really like that book, but, it's like there are hard
Bad.
times. And, but what I thought was beautiful, just telling us the meal that you would get, right, with your coupon. It sounds like a very filling meal, and with the dessert at the end, it's like there's the bright side of everything, right? And although being cold and having to wear layers of wool, but it makes people, sadly, it makes people tougher, right? To be able to deal with other aspects in their life that, you're trying to get through, when you're like, you're not soft, it's not being soft about things. You're able to really like have a perspective, like, okay, I made it through this. Why not do this? But yeah, so thank you for sharing. It's so inspiring. And I love the connection with the glass. And I am just so loving synchronicity and serendipity and quantum, anything can happen if you're open for it. And really not saying in your head, no, I can't do it, but having that like, yes, that is possible. So you've showed us what within your life. So thank you. I'm so happy I was able to hear you live. And I'm so happy to see you again too. Like you were here last week and I was like, Judy, we miss you.
I'm happy to see you. And you also made that brave move to Mexico, right?
Yeah. Well, that's part of choosing to do something that, we're working on still. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And things opened up, as soon as the momentum's there, it's like things started to open up and connections happened. So
yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you.
I'd love to see the glass pieces though.
I'll show them next time.
Thank you.
Judy, I was walking with you in London. Just so vivid. Yeah, ditto to what everybody else has said so far. Very, you painted the pictures so we could see them, or I could see them. I could see the glass, I can see the gallery. I could see you bundled up, and what it's like to be in, on that side of the pond with no heat and no air conditioning. And, humans we're really chameleons. And if we allow ourselves to go with the flow, which is how it seems that, you've been in your life, things do happen, opportunities abound, and there's a synchronicity in, one thing or another happening. And, I find you to be a very intentional person. So when you aim to find a dealer for that glass, your energy was just zoomed on finding a dealer for that glass, and you zoomed right into a relative. So
I'm getting goosebumps.
Sorry,
I said I'm getting goosebumps when you said that. That was amazing. Yeah.
Oh.
I moved into the relative. Yes.
Yeah. So it's wonderful. You reminded me of a lot of things that I've done in my life. And if you're open, it's just an amazing time. So thank you so much for sharing. And it's really good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy, I really enjoyed your essay, and I really enjoy and would encourage you to write more. Your writing is, I think Tammy had said, like a Hemingway novel. You just like you get scooped up into the piece and into the detail of where you are and the food you're eating and you just want to hear more and more. So I really encourage you to write more. You've always inspired me personally. I'm blown away by the many facets of your life and how you are a yes person, like Rita said, and how you do you just go with the flow so easily and so smoothly, and just such a woman of many talents. Like every time I talk to you, I hear another story of something you've done or created, or like you're an amazing chef and you're catering parties, or you're an architect and you're building houses, or you're a writer and writing this, or you're volunteering for the ballet, or every time I talk to you, you're like doing this. It inspires me that there's so much more I can do, and that there's endless possibilities. So thank you for sharing. And I really love you. And I always love being with you, spending time with you, and hearing all your wonderful stories.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I do write. I am writing.
Linda.
Everyone, Judy, that was wonderful. And you have such an adventurous spirit and very creative. And I really echo what everyone has said already. Spontaneity and just intention and just going with the flow. It was a beautiful story. Thank you. And I visualized everything. I was right there when you were in London too, and everything you did. And I just love the part about the casino and you gambling. That was cute.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh yeah, I think I left that out too. Your amazing sense of humor. Keep that going. I love the sense of humor throughout the writing as well. I meant to mention that.
I meant to mention that too, Judy. I forgot to mention that too, especially the story about Rizdi. That cracks me up.
I don't know how funny I thought these things were at the time, but
Right. I can't imagine sitting in front of the president of RISD and going, that's not my purple.
Right.
And then, drawing a chair and getting into, a chair, it's not easy because I've been in art classes before, but that's, I think why I'm laughing it's because it's just, it sounds like something that would have, been made up or whatever, but this was,
And that other Judy Freeman did not appear at school. I never saw her. And she would have been in my class because we're alphabetical.
Talk about angelic intervention or divine intervention, because what are the odds? That's amazing. That's really extraordinary.
Yeah. I think I listen. I think I don't know. Don't want to say anything so positive because my life hasn't been a bowl of cherries. But I think I listen. I take things in and I do listen, and I think that's what I do. And I notice things and things attract me. So I go with that.
Jeanette or Nancy?
Jeanette has to unmute.
Well, I wanted to know more about these stories. And the first question that I wanted to know is, did the other Judy get into the art school? So you've answered that. The second question I have is, what system did you use to cheat the casinos that you got banned from the casinos? Do you count cards? I want to know how you managed to do that. And the third question, I would like to see the design work for the apartment that you designed for somebody who was willing to give you 2 lots in East Hampton. For those of you that don't live near us, if you Google property in East Hampton, the cheapest lots are between 2 and 3 million, and the average lot is 29 million for lots in East Hampton. So I would like to see what this architectural design looked like that this person handed over 2 lots in East Hampton, no less, because that had to be some fabulous design. You didn't need 9-star key to tell you to grab that proposition. That was a good one. I also was in that first class in RD's class in the Open Center. I don't remember seeing you there, but I certainly
don't
would
remember
remember
you
you
either.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
So
funny.
that was wonderful. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Judy, what year were you given those lots?
Probably 12 years ago.
Oh.
12 but they were not expensive then. I mean, they, I don't know, they were maybe selling for 40, 50,000. But I mean, that's expensive, but not that expensive. And I built a house on one lot that was going to be my house. I actually did a lot of the construction myself, like you do. And, and I wanted to sell the lot that I'm in now, and I couldn't sell it. I just couldn't sell it. And everybody wanted to buy the house that I built. So after a year or so, I ended up selling that house and then building another house here. Basically the same house, but a little different on the outside. So that's what happened. And I don't remember what the design was like. I don't know what I did. But what happened was the mother of the man that I designed this apartment for, her mother had just passed away and had left her these lots. So that's what happened. And she had the two lots and a house in between. And somebody was already buying that house in between, but then she had the lots on either side. So she didn't know what to do with them. So that's what it was.
Very fortunate.
And how did you get kicked out of the casinos?
Well, because I believe, as I said in the beginning, I believe in probability. And my mind just clicks in to the picture, the probable picture. And that was it. But I was winning a lot. This was just in roulette. But I was winning a lot because I could see the patterns and I saw the picture, and that's what happened. And they didn't like it.
I love it. I love it. And Jeanette, can you unmute? Do you know how to unmute?
Just go
Jeanette?
to the upper right-hand corner and click on mute, unmute.
On the upper right-hand corner
of your
Mine's in the lower left-hand corner.
Oh, it is?
Mine is.
Oh, how funny.
No, there's actually on your individual picture, there's these little dots, and then there's a mute or unmute also on the picture, not just the lower level where there's the mute.
On the upper right?
Yeah, of your picture.
Okay, Jeanette.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Well, thank you for guiding me. I loved listening to her about all of her pursuits and things that she did. It was very inspiring. All I could think of, I wish I could do that. And listening to everyone comment, I would say, oh yeah, that's exactly it. And the next person we're talking, oh yeah, that's exactly. So it was very, as I said, inspiring to listen to her and to not to be her, but to want to have the ability that she had. So it's really, I loved it. I absolutely love it. And making comment, a very good friend of mine was also in Vegas, and she was the first woman in this team, and they would go and count cards. That was their big deal. Yes.
Oh, was that Deborah?
Deborah?
Oh,
Deborah?
yes, Deborah. Yes, exactly. They were just here the other night. And so, yeah, she's incredible. But Judy is amazing, absolutely amazing. And as I said, I want to be her. You know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Oh, that's so funny about Deborah. There was actually a movie done about Deborah and her friends.
Yes, exactly. They got kicked out of I don't think she could play. Yeah. Yeah. So.
And just to give you a little background, Deborah and I went to Tufts together. And so, and Deborah lives in the same town as Jeanette in Lexington, Massachusetts. So, and Deborah and Jeanette know each other, I think, through their children. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the connection here.
Wow.
So talk about synchronicities and
I know. And I didn't know that she knew you when you came and did the feng shui at my house. So, and that was 15, 18 years ago. Long time.
long time ago.
Long time ago. Yeah. Yeah. So great.
Anyway, oh, this is so great. I love all of you. Thank you, Judy, for sharing such an incredible journey of your life, a little snippet of your life. Any other thoughts or comments before we do a nice little meditation together? It's such a lovely Monday morning.
Yeah, I do. That Judy, you are a person of many talents, and I dare say most of us are. We certainly have more than one talent. You have many talents, and you embrace them. I don't sense a conflict. Some people feel that they have to choose and follow one. And you just, as they come up, you just embrace it. And I think that's why, I'm sure your life has not been a bowl of cherries, like you say, you know, all the time. Life happens. But there is synchronicity when you allow, quote unquote, allow. And you, it sounds like you have, and you've just embraced all these awakenings you've had. And it's great. It's just great. I applaud you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
I just have to run. I can't stay for the meditation, but thank you so much, Judy. Fantastic. I love you. Love you all. Enjoy this beautiful day.
Yes. Enjoy this beautiful day.
Thank you. Me too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.
Have a good meditation.
See you later. I'm going to stop the recording.